Are we cooked? Not necessarily. I don't know what you mean by cooked. Cooked as in like, is it gonna be rough? Yes. Cooked as in like, is everything over? No. Like, for example, while Donald Trump is somebody who I don't believe would have any respect for the filibuster as an institution unless it was protecting what he wanted protected, not what it protected, what, you know, protects democratic past legislation otherwise. And so I think he'd tear it up immediately once it would benefit him. But the Senate, under John Thune, has been clear that they do not want to tear the filibuster in half. And so there's certain institutions that still exist that could still fall down, and we got to give it time to see how Thune would perform under pressure. Of course, it could have been somebody else outside of Thune. It could have been worse. And whether he would knock down the filibuster. There's other things that are going to be knocked down. But when you say, like, cooked, depends what you mean by cooked. I don't think America is cooked, but I would say the next 4 years is going to be cooked, is how I would put it. Gonna have to play this by ear. Yeah. Okay. It's time to watch the inauguration speech. So usually we would watch the inauguration speech anyway, but I wouldn't, I don't know, add much commentary or really maybe even make a segment out of it, period, because it won't be that policy oriented. Or if we did make a segment out of it, it would be, you know, a short segment or wouldn't be much detail anyway, because it just, you know, we hear a bunch of flowery words about how America's beautiful, about how it's got beautiful skies and beautiful mountains. We need to protect it. And, you know, we're all Americans. We all love each other. But this inauguration speech was concentrating a lot on policy. I mean, it was not Trump's usual, you know, the Democrats are the devil. He would do that later, of course. But this speech was policy focused, which is not usually how these speeches go. It would be briefly mentioned here, briefly mentioned there, but it was mostly, you know, flowery words. This time, though, a little different. And so there is some stuff of substance here, and I'm going to see how much we can take from it, because I know that there were some announcements on, for example, the naming of terrorists, of cartels as terrorist organizations, and we can describe what that would mean for the powers that would give the president for drone strikes in Latin America and in other countries, in other continents where cartels are active. Well, but of course, it'd be countries like Mexico or further south would be the ones mainly a threat. Let's watch. It's 30 minutes long, so get a drink if you need one.
Thank you very much, everybody. Well, thank you very, very much. Vice President Vance, Speaker Johnson, Senator Thune.
Wait, VP Vance, where'd Pence go? Huh.
Chief Justice Roberts, Justices of the United States Supreme Court, President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, President Biden, Vice President Harris, and my fellow citizens. The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first. Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end. And our top priority will be to create a nation that is proud, prosperous, and free. America will soon be greater, stronger, and far more exceptional than ever before. I return to the presidency confident and optimistic that we are at the start of a thrilling new era of national success. A tide of change is sweeping the country. Sunlight is pouring over the entire world. And America...
Okay, look. I said it was going to be more policy-oriented. That's what I've been led to believe. That's what I've seen from a few clips. When I said there was going to be a lot of flowery language, I still told the truth. This is a very flowery language. This is just, I don't know. You know, flowery would imply that they were pretty words, but they're more like, I don't know, like it's inflatable tube man language. You know, like everything's gonna be better than ever before, cheaper, better, golden, the best day ever to sail. It's not like, but it's, you know, it's still got frills. We still got the frills of the inauguration. You know, it's just a little different.
America has the chance to seize this opportunity like never before. But first, we must...
The golden age starts now.
...be honest about the challenges we face. While they are plentiful, they will be annihilated by this great momentum that the world is now witnessing in the United States of America. As we gather today, our government confronts a crisis of trust. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. We now have a government that cannot manage even a simple crisis at home, while at the same time stumbling into a continuing catalog of catastrophic events abroad. It fails to protect our magnificent, law-abiding American citizens, but provides sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals, many from prisons and mental institutions that have illegally entered our country.
Again, the mental institution stuff. I don't know where this is coming from. Before it was asylums. Now he's moderated. He said that many of these migrants were coming from insane asylums, like Arkham, I imagine. And now he's moderated it to just mental institutions. So I guess they're just in the psych ward. You know, they just had a little term in the psych ward. Oh, it's good to see that he's moderating. That's good.
From all over the world. We have a government that has given unlimited funding to the defense of foreign borders, but refuses to defend American borders or, more importantly, its own people.
My gosh.
Our country can no...
I wish this was true, man. I wish it was true. We gave Ukraine unlimited, man. My God. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if they got those ATACMS before 2023? Could you imagine if we went through with the MiG F-16 deal? Oh, God, let's not start the fantasizing.
Deliver basic services in times of emergency, as recently shown by the wonderful people of North Carolina, been treated so badly. And other states who are still suffering from a hurricane that took place many months ago. Or more recently, Los Angeles, where we're watching fires still tragically burn. From weeks ago, without even a token of defense, they're raging through the houses and communities, even affecting some of the...
What does that mean, without a token of defense? Like a sign? What do you mean a token of defense? It makes me... It sounds like he's saying that there was no attempt to, like, stop it. Or there was not, like, a sign of defense.
The wealthiest and most powerful individuals in our country, some of whom are sitting here right now, they don't have a home any longer. That's interesting. But we can't let this happen.
That's interesting. He really knows the right words for the moment. Oh, your home's burnt down. Interesting.
Everyone is unable to do anything about it. That's going to change. We have a public health system that does not deliver in times of disaster, yet more money is spent on it than any country anywhere in the world. And we have an education system that teaches our children to be ashamed of themselves in many.
Oh, can we please extend this logic to healthcare?
Bankrupt man.
Can we extend this logic to healthcare, please? Thank you. Son of a God, thank you for the resub. Appreciate it. With the primer, 54 months.
Many cases, to hate our country despite the love that we try so desperately to provide to them. All of this will change starting today, and it will change very quickly.
Is Laura Loomer invited?
A recent election is a mandate to completely and totally reverse a horrible betrayal and all of these many betrayals that have taken place, and to give the people back their faith, their wealth, their democracy, and indeed their freedom. From this moment on, America's decline is over.
I was unaware that it began.
Our liberties and our nation's glorious destiny will no longer be denied, and we will immediately restore the integrity, competency, and loyalty of America's government. Over the past 8 years, I have been tested and challenged more
He's going to push the competency button. Why didn't Biden think of that?
than any president in our 250-year history, and I've learned a lot along the way. The journey to reclaim our republic has not been an easy one, that I can tell you. Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. Thank you.
Why does his wife look like she's at a funeral? I do like her outfit, though. You know what she looks like? She looks like, she kind of looks like Tom from when he was trying to pick up the cat chick from the cartoon. Oh, God, I can't. One second. I'm sorry. I'm just... Here it is. Here it is. I knew I seen this fit somewhere before. I knew it. I knew I seen this fit somewhere. Oh my gosh. There it is. There it is. Sorry.
Thank you very much. That is why each day under our administration of American patriots, we will be working to meet every crisis with dignity and power and strength.
Do you notice how the donors seem to have a better seat in the House than the actual elected politicians? Strange.
We will move with purpose and speed to bring back hope, prosperity, safety, and peace for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day.
Liberation from whom?
It is my hope that our recent presidential election will be remembered as the greatest and most consequential election in the history of our country.
Oh my God.
As our victory showed, the entire nation is rapidly unifying behind our agenda with
I always appreciated his humility.
dramatic increases.
The best inauguration. The best ever. Better than any of them. Better than, like, Remember when Lincoln won another term? And then finished the war? Better than that inauguration. Better than like the literally like the power up move before you like win it all at the end, you know, when Rocky's about to knock out Drag. Like better than, oh yeah, sure, okay. When you won by 3 million votes. You didn't even win a majority of the popular vote. And we're talking about a mandate to liberate the country as if the Stasi has been in control.
And support from virtually every element of our society, young and old.
Sorry, this is a libtard cope stream. You're not ready for that. Sorry.
Old, men and women, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, urban, suburban, rural, and very importantly, we had a powerful win in all 7 swing states, and the popular vote, we won by millions of people. To the Black and Hispanic communities, I want to thank you for the tremendous outpouring of love and trust.
Like, just for comparison, Biden won by 7 million in 2020. Like, 3 million's a mandate is less than half when Biden got in 2020, and that was an election that was disputed up until the end by Donald Trump.
That you have shown me with your vote. We set records, and I will not forget it. I've heard your voices in the campaign, and I look forward to working with you in the years to come. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and his honor, this will be a great honor, but in his honor, we will strive together to make his dream a reality. We will make his dream come true.
Trump is the bearer of Martin Luther King's torch.
Thank you. Thank you. National unity is now returning to America, and confidence and pride is soaring like never before. In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. We will not forget our country, we will not forget our Constitution, and we will not forget our God. Can't do that.
Can't do it. Naughty, naughty. Big J man. Give it up for JC by Trump Bibles.
Today I will sign a series of historic executive orders. With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense. First, I will declare a national emergency at our southern border.
He shall declare. Okay, then what?
All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
What does that mean? All illegal entry will immediately be halted? Because if somebody enters at a legal point of entry and then files for asylum, which is, you know, where a lot of this is like, there's these asylum claims, then that's not like, like illegally entered. So, but if somebody's illegally entered, the guidelines is already that you're supposed to stop them. So what does that mean? What change? What change in policy? Are they just gonna, like, somebody claims asylum, you turn them around anyway? By the way, you see Vivek Ramaswamy's in the way back. He was recently dropped from Doge, apparently due to his comments about American-born workers and wanting to be, you know, more H-1B visas because, you know, we want to bring over the best work. Apparently it ruffled enough feathers that he's been dropped from the meme organization. Not only did Vivek Ramaswamy not really get a cabinet position, and he was put in an extra governmental organization meant to advise the government under Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. Now he's been bumped off the meme job. But don't worry, I'm sure maybe he can like manage their meme coin. I'm sure he could do something like that. Trump sees him as a techie.
We will reinstate my Remain in Mexico policy.
There it is. The Remain in Mexico policy. So it's he wants the people to remain in Mexico when they're claiming asylum.
I will end the practice of catch and release. And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country. Under the orders I signed today, we will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations.
Look at them all clapping. Look at all those people clapping. That big room of people clapping. I see James Langford's up. I see a lot of donors' faces, billionaires' faces. I saw Sheldon Adelson, I think, is in there. I think I saw him earlier. Okay, so here is why this is a bad idea. I don't like the cartels. I hope the cartels fail. I hope they're shut down. I hope that their violent, terrible members go to prison, and that the governments get control and law and orders on the street, okay? Not only for the United States and for the problems that we get by extension due to their activities, but also these countries in question, first and foremost, because they're going to be bearing the main brunt of the violence. It is the Mexicans that are dealing with most of the problems that come from the Mexican cartels. But my belief, and the belief of what I believe to be the most legitimate, fair-minded people in defense policy and in foreign policy, is that if you want to fight the cartels, you're going to have to do it with the assistance of the Mexican government. And you cannot fight the cartels and win without the direct assistance of the Mexican government. You're not going to be able to bomb the Mexican cartels away without a ground offensive and troops on the ground to physically break up and arrest people and break up the drug manufacturing and distribution centers. Or it will simply go underground more and more and more. It'll be done by tunnels. They've used submarines. They've used drones. They've used tunnel networks before. They are crafty, and if there's a way for them to adapt to a bombing campaign, they will do so. That's not to say the bombing campaign will not do damage. That's not to say that the bombing campaign might not take out some drug distribution centers, some drug networks, might take out some kingpins there, here or there, but it will not destroy the network. It will not destroy the cartels without the assistance of the Mexican government to either get their troops to do it or have American advisors, American special operators, or just the American regular armed services on the ground to also suppress the cartels. You have to do it in tandem with the government, or you're just going to end up bombing Mexico, killing some people in the cartels. Maybe there was information, the Mexican government intel they could have provided you that they didn't, because you didn't ask for it, because if you did, you would have told them what was going on, and you don't trust the Mexican government because they're corrupt and full of cartel people and cartel informants. And so you end up bombing something that actually maybe has civilians. Or maybe you don't, but it still pisses off the Mexican population because they don't want a foreign country, without their say-so, bombing their nation. And you've ruined your relationship with the Mexican population. And whether or not you believe the Mexican government has to be subservient to you because of your economic integration in your relationship and how big and strong America is, if there is enough popular sentiment amongst the Mexican population, and the current administration has to change their policy because of that sentiment, or is removed because they don't seeing it as non-functional from a statecraft perspective, then it could lead to bad policy down the road. Bad integration. They're one of our main training partners. And the thing is, if you want your country to be successful, you've got to work with your geography. You've got to work with your immediate neighbors and partners in the region, because they're the ones right next to you. They're the ones where your infrastructure is integrated with them. They're the ones you're importing food products from and industrial products from, and have built trade agreements around. If you don't use your immediate geography and neighbors to your economic advantage, you're just undermining your economic capacity and your potential. You're just, I mean, like, we are the big boy in North America. We should take that to our advantage and not make our very small community here in North America of 3 nation states, isolated from us. Anyway, continuing. Sorry about my little ramble. And that's the problem with the AUMF, the authorization for use of military force, is that if we designate these groups as terrorist organizations, the president will have the authority to go after them however he chooses. And, as long as they can justify that they are terrorist organizations, which if he designates them as, he will be able to, then he can take action without Congress's say-so and, bomb these people without a declaration of war. And this is not an authority I want to give the United States in reference to Mexico to fight drug crime.
Okay.
When the AUMF has to do with fighting jihadi Wahhabist terrorists after 9/11. 2 totally different issues. If you want to find your own campaign against the drug cartels, have a new AUMF approved by Congress saying, yes, we want to sponsor this type of war against the cartels. Not that I think it will necessarily be successful, again, without any assistance from the Mexican government or without full cooperation.
In the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, I will direct our government to use the full and immense power of federal and state law enforcement to eliminate the presence of all foreign gangs and criminal networks, bringing devastating crime to U.S. soil, including our cities and inner cities. As Commander-in-Chief, I have no higher responsibility than to defend our country from threats and invasions, and that is exactly what I am going to do. We will do it at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Next, I will direct all members of my cabinet to marshal the vast powers at their disposal to defeat what was record inflation and rapidly bring down costs and prices. The inflation crisis was caused by...
Now, mind you, on the campaign trail, Trump said that if you vote for him, he will bring grocery prices down. After he wins, he's changed his tune in an interview saying that actually it's kind of hard and maybe I won't. But, maybe we'll stop them from going up further, maybe. And the tune has changed a little bit. But he's still, I guess he's keeping his tone on inflation. Or it could just be him flip-flopping depending on which period it is. This is the State of the Union, not an individual one-on-one interview. Who knows? Either way, though, it's a little different than on the campaign trail.
By massive overspending and escalating energy prices, and that is why today I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill.
So it seems that every issue that America has is now an emergency. And what's interesting is when it comes to energy, we are more energy dominant right now than in any other time in the full history of the United States of America. And we are more energy dominant than any other country in the history of the entire existence of our planet. We are producing more energy than any other country has ever have in the history of the world. That's what's happening right now. And we're exporting, because of the sanctions on Russia, the sanctions that Trump wants to remove, by the way, because of the sanctions that the Europeans and us are applying on Russia, many of the consumers of Europe have turned to our LNG export terminals, which have sent more and more and more and more liquefied natural gas over to Europe. The Germans have consumed our product, and many other European powers have consumed our product, and many, many more will continue to consume our product, especially as the Ukrainians are stopping the transit of Russian gas over their lands. And, what option is left? I think the Turkish pipeline, and of that pipeline, I've heard even some rumors in the Russian services or the Russian area, the Russian media chirping about the Ukrainians possibly targeting that, but who knows? Probably nonsense. Either way, though, the Americans are becoming more dominant when it comes to the European energy market. We have a much more prominent share, and we're the biggest energy producers on the planet. Now, take all this information, do with it what you will. You still could say that prices in the United States could even be lower. We could make it even cheaper for consumers. And while, you know, the amount and size of the production of energy is nice, the prices still have to go down further. Okay, you can believe that if you want. That can be your position. Understood. Fine. But it's not a full-blown crisis. If you call everything a crisis, then nothing's a crisis. If everything and anything can be turned into a crisis immediately once it's politically beneficial, then like the actual crisis can be downplayed, the non-crisis can be upplayed into a crisis, and during a crisis you can make mundane facts extreme horrific incidences, and actual important information complete pish-posh bullshit that doesn't need to be paid attention to. For example, Piers Morgan show, and instead of talking about, for example, focusing on, foliage management or, building material construction and how that would need to change, like 60 to 70% of it was talking about if it was lesbian firefighters that caused the bad, the bad fires. It was absolutely nonsense, but we're going to get a lot of that in the next 4 years, I think.
America will be a manufacturing nation once again, and we have something that no other manufacturing nation will ever have, the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we are going to use it. We will bring prices down, fill our strategic reserves up again right to the top, and export American energy all over the world. We will be a rich nation again, and it is that liquid gold under our feet that will help to do it. With my actions today, we will end the Green New Deal, and we will revoke the electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto industry and keeping my sacred pledge to our great American auto workers. In other words, you'll be able to buy the car of your choice. We will build automobiles in America again at a rate that nobody could have dreamt.
I could have sworn that there was multiple instances, or at least one that I remember, where where Trump made commitments to make sure like factories stayed open, and then immediately went back upon them once it became inconvenient. Does anybody remember which factory I'm talking about? Can't recall the name of it or which city it was in. I can look it up.
Possible just a few years ago. And thank you to the auto workers of our nation for your inspiring vote of confidence. We did tremendously with their vote. I will immediately begin the overhaul of our trade system to protect American workers and families. Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens. For this purpose, we are establishing the External Revenue Service to collect all tariffs, duties, and revenues. It will be massive amounts of money pouring into our treasury, coming from foreign sources. The American dream will soon be back and thriving like never before to restore competence and effectiveness to our federal government.
Okay, I'm looking at the factory. I believe the factory was in Foxconn. Here it is. Trump promised this Wisconsin town a manufacturing, oh God, now it's, thank you, Washington Post, for the paywall. He promised a giant manufacturing facility in Foxconn. That's one promise he failed to deliver when it comes to making new factories. But I was thinking of an instance where there was a factory that was currently working. He promised to make sure it stayed open, and then it shut down anyway. But I can't remember. There's so many different times where you have instances where Trump has maybe made a promise to a worker and it's not been fulfilled, whether it's in his own company, in his personal professional work, Scotland, staff in his hotels, or when it comes to, his promises to workers as president. So I can't remember them all.
Government. My administration will establish the brand new Department of Government Efficiency. After years and years of illegal and unconstitutional federal efforts to restrict free expression, I will also sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America.
Okay, so there's two other things I wanted to bring up. So I was distracted by a few things. I was trying to find the stuff on the Foxconn facility and such. So the first thing is on the tariffs. If you want to bring back manufacturing to the United States and you want to keep the United States as the international reserve currency, and you say that it's going to be so bad if we lose it, it'll be like losing a war, then you don't want to endanger things that make us the international center of commerce and make it so people, want to use our currency. One of the many reasons people want to use our currency. And if you threaten the inflow of those goods with tariffs, then not only are you going to be threatening the inflow of those goods, so you're offering less options to consumers, then the people who do end up buying those are going to have to pay higher prices. And you're going to make it so people are going to want to trade with the United States less because it's going to be more expensive to their companies. So in some instances, they're going to choose alternatives and ship their goods elsewhere to other ports. And this does not just affect those at, the store buying the goods or those working at the store, but it also affects those who are working at the ports and on infrastructure to bring in the goods, those who are driving the goods around if they don't have goods to move. It affects a whole chain of workers, not just like the consumer will pay a little bit more at the store. And this is only talking about, for example, like finished product, as in like there's an orange here, it's been moved to the United States, here you go, here's an orange. But when you're also manufacturing, what do we want to manufacture in the United States? Are we going to be manufacturing buttons? Are we going to be manufacturing pencils? I know we do manufacture that on some small scale, but when people talk about America being the future of manufacturing, I imagine Trump is thinking, oh, we're going to manufacture cars, we're going to manufacture trains, we're going to manufacture aeroplanes, we're going to manufacture CNC machines. Well, maybe not CNC machines, but high tech, tech stuff like CNC machines, the future of tech. We're going to manufacture microchips and semiconductors. And if you want to do these things, it's not going to be as simple as, oh, all these components are in the United States. Some of these components are going to have to be taken from overseas. So when he talks about blanket tariffs, like, this is going to hurt these industries. Now, if you try to be more selective, that would be better, but it'd be a lot different than the rhetoric of Donald Trump, even though his policy and his rhetoric often have broke with each other. Morally corrupt, bankrupt man. Hey, Echo 0083. Thank you so much for the resub. I appreciate it. It's day one, and it's already like a year. Outside of the tariff conversation, the free speech stuff, I don't believe Trump is a free speech crusader. In fact, I believe he is particularly unprincipled when it comes to the issue of free expression. That's not to say that there haven't been past presidents that have gone after the press or politicians that have gone after the press. But I mean, Trump is particularly expressive in his hatred for the press and his hatred for his political opposition, using the freedom of the press. Let me see. I think I have a list here. Number one, we said this earlier, but he sued an Ann Seltzer poll. right after the 2024 election, because they gave a result that he did not like in Iowa. He sued CBS because of how it edited a Kamala interview. It threatened to delicense news outlets that were critical of him. It wanted to punish. He wanted to punish flag burning with a year in prison. He tried to sue Bill Maher for $5 million over a joke. Sued CNN for $475 million for calling election denialism the big lie. Can you believe that? Suing CNN for calling election denialism, him lying about the election, the big lie. Has said before and has said again that he supports opening up the libel laws so he can, go after journalists and sue them for speaking about him in a manner that he believes is untrue. And as we can see, even calling him a liar when it comes to lying about the election results is what he would call slander. So how would he use these loosened libel laws that are usually bragged about by free speech advocates, by the fact that it's difficult to go after journalists for these types of comments? That's not even to talk about jailing of the journalists for talking about the SCOTUS ruling. My gosh, dude, we could do this all day. I believe Kyle Kalinske made a bigger list. If you wanted to see a few more, I just listed the ones that particularly bothered me. There's some others there that I some other instances he was talking about as he was listing them off on Twitter, but I mean, he is not a free speech warrior. This is not something that he's been a dedicated warrior on. Sorry.
Never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute.
Not to even mention, I mean, the long history of calling the press the enemy of the people.
Never again
doesn't even pretend to be aesthetically press friendly.
Again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents. Something I know something about. We will not allow that to happen. It will not happen again. Under my leadership, we will restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law. And we are going to bring law and order back to our cities. This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life.
Wow. I mean, that's good because, society already did that a long time ago. You don't need to do it, Trump. Nobody has to do it because society did it on its own. Way before any of us were born.
We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based.
Yes, I saw Boris Johnson. Colorblind.
As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Finally, the real issues.
This week, I will reinstate any...
And how is that put into action? How is that? What's the policy implementation there?
Service members who were unjustly expelled from our military for objecting to the COVID vaccine mandate.
But while also expelling the trans service members who could perfectly well serve in the armed force. So it's old boys in, trans girls out.
With full back pay.
And trans men, I presume.
And I will sign an order to stop our warriors from being subjected to radical political theories and social experiments while on duty. It's going to end immediately. Our armed forces will be freed to focus on their sole mission, defeating America's enemies. Like in 2017, we will again build the strongest military the world has ever seen. We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well that's good. That's good to hear, guys. It's good. It's good to hear. Look, the rhetoric's peace is good on its face, with no other implications and no other assumptions or looking at the history. Peace is good. If he approaches drone strikes in the same way he did last term, well, you know.
I'm pleased to say that as of yesterday, one day before I assumed office, the hostages in the Middle East are coming back home to their families.
Also, can I throw out there, he said 24 hours. He promised again and again and again on the campaign trail. 24 hours war in Ukraine is going to be over. It is now, how much longer? Let me see the time. We got, what, 16 hours left? It's not going to happen. And you know what? It's just going to be like the wall. Oh, Mexico's going to pay for it. We're going to build a wall. Well, no, he just more meant like we're going to increase our security. No, he didn't. When he said he was going to bring peace in Ukraine in 24 hours, he didn't mean, well, like actually we meant like 6 to 8 to 10 to 11 to 12. No, that's not what he meant. He didn't mean actually let it play out and continue, and then eventually once a better opportunity arises, like people say, you know, it's very difficult to negotiate right now because the terms are just so distant from each other, then you would, you know, try again or try to negotiate. That's not the same. It's not the same, but it's going to be treated just like it was before. It's like, well, no, the spirit of it's true. The spirit was more like he'd talk it out. He'd be like a school counselor, bring the boys together, you know, everybody, you know, get your issues out there.
Thank you. America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth, inspiring the awe and admiration of the entire world. A short time from now, we are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and we will restore the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley, where it should be and where it belongs.
Why?
President McKinley.
Why? Like, why? Like, why? By the way, I don't know if you guys saw this. There was... One second. There was a clip I saw of Hillary Clinton reacting to this. I wonder if I can find it. This is, I mean, I didn't look on Twitter too much today, but it was one of the few clips that was in my feed. When he said this comment, this is the first time I saw it. This is one of the only clips I saw of the inauguration before I saw it today with you guys.
A short time from now, we are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and we will restore the name of a short time from...
It's crazy, man. She's like full on chortling. She's not like slightly giggling or like covering her mouth. She's not even like pretending to hide it. She's like full on chortling to his right.
Made our country very rich through tariffs and through talent. He was a natural businessman and gave Teddy Roosevelt the money for many of the great things he did, including the Panama Canal, which has foolishly been given to the country of Panama after the United States. The United States, I mean, think of this, spent more money than ever spent on a project before and lost 38,000 lives in the building of the Panama Canal. We have been treated very...
And we utilized it for decades and decades and decades and decades. And it's still useful for us for trade. It still benefits us economically, to the fact that we can access and use the Panama Canal.
Very bad.
And like, I mean, 38,000 people died. Like, Japanese people died in Korea. People died all over the place. It doesn't give you the right to the land.
From this foolish gift that should have never been made. And Panama's promise to us has been broken. The purpose of our deal and the spirit of our treaty has been totally violated. American ships are being severely overcharged and not treated fairly in any way, shape, or form, and that includes the United States Navy. And above all, China is operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China, we gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back.
So, by the way, when he says China's operating Panama Canal, what he means is that there's what the United States estimates could be like dual use locations near the Panama Canal where Chinese companies own, or companies that, you know, swear fealty, of course, to China, because that's the way it works. And that in a moment of crisis, China might be able to quickly convert those dual use facilities that are near the Panama Canal to restrict access. That's what's being talked about when they say that the Chinese are controlling the port, which is a deceptive way of putting it. President of Peace.
Above all, my message to Americans today is that it is time for us to once again act with courage, vigor, and the vitality of history's greatest civilization. So as we liberate our nation, we will lead it to new heights of victory and success. We will not be deterred. Together we will end the chronic disease epidemic and keep our children safe, healthy, and disease-free. The United States will once again consider itself a growing nation, one that increases our wealth, expands our territory, builds our cities, raises our expectations, and carries our flag.
Expands our territory. He is a neo-manifest destiny man. I mean, look, he's talking about taking the Panama Canal back based on like blood and soil. Our blood's in the soil. We died because of the mosquitoes, because the mosquitoes killed us 100 years ago. We deserve this, even if we already signed treaties giving it back, because you shouldn't really respect previous American treaties, because I'm Trump and I can supersede all previous American agreements. And I mean, is an American agreement credible? I don't know, until they reconsider it every 4 years.
Nation.
Manifest destiny.
One that increases our wealth, expands our territory, builds our cities, raises our expectations, and carries our flag into new and beautiful horizons. And we will pursue our manifest destiny into the stars, launching American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars.
So goofy.
Ambition.
The Prince of Peace seems to really want a lot of territorial expansion.
Is the lifeblood of a great nation. And right now our nation is more ambitious than any other. There's no nation like our nation. Americans are explorers, builders, innovators, entrepreneurs, and pioneers. The spirit of the frontier is written into our hearts. The call of the next great adventure resounds from within our souls. Our American ancestors turned a small group of colonies on the edge of a vast continent into a mighty republic of the most extraordinary citizens on earth. No one comes close. Americans pushed thousands of miles through a rugged land of untamed wilderness. They crossed deserts, scaled mountains,
Here's the flowers.
braved untold
Found
dangers,
some.
won the Wild West, ended slavery, rescued millions from tyranny, lifted billions from poverty, harnessed electricity, split the atom, launched mankind into the heavens, and put the universe of human knowledge into the palm of the human hand. If we work together, there is nothing we cannot do and no dream we cannot achieve. Many people thought it was impossible for me to stage such a historic political comeback.
Oh my God.
But as you see today, here I am, the American people.
Yes, just like we achieved going on the moon or splitting the atom, I also politically survived.
Have spoken.
Moderate, as always. Modest, as always. Humble, as always. Guilfoyle.
I stand before you now as proof that you should never believe that something is impossible to do. In America, the impossible is what we do best. From New York to Los Angeles, from Philadelphia to Phoenix, from Chicago to Miami, from Houston to right here in Washington, D.C., our country was forged and built by the generations of patriots who gave everything they had for our rights and for our freedom. They were farmers and soldiers, cowboys and factory workers, steel workers and coal miners, police officers and pioneers who pushed onward, marched forward, and let no obstacle defeat their spirit or their pride. Together they laid down the railroads, raised up the skyscrapers, built great highways, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, and triumphed over every single challenge that they faced. After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in American history. With your help, we will...
greatest years in American history. 41 to 45. I would just add a pin in that as a possible alternative for a period of time where you could say America, did something great. There's also many of the, we don't even know what's going to happen, but you know what? Slim majority, 1-term president, no political experience before that. I'm sure we will see an absolute masterclass. I mean, he's setting high standards, man. High standards.
Restore America, promise, and we will rebuild the nation.
That he can't temper the expectations. But the thing is, even if he doesn't achieve it, he'll just be like, no, the economy is now amazingly recovered. And it'll just be continuance of the same Biden era trends. You'll see it. It's the same. I mean, it happened with early Obama. I mean, late term Obama into early Trump term too.
Nation that we love, and we love it so much.
In fact, after he won, he started claiming a lot of economic indicators as his own already. Even before he won, he was claiming economic indicators. And after he was kicked out of office, he was claiming economic indicators too. He was saying those were my numbers. I produced those. So basically, when Trump's in office, he claims the economic indicators. When he's not in office, he claims the economic indicators. Unless they go bad. That is not him.
We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So to every parent who dreams for their child, and every child who dreams for their future, I am with you, I will fight for you, and I will win for you. We're going to win like never before. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. In recent years, our nation has suffered greatly, but we are going to bring it back and make it great again, greater than ever before. We will be a nation like no other, full of compassion, courage, and exceptionalism. Our power will stop all wars and bring a new spirit of unity to a world that has been angry, violent, and totally unpredictable. America will be respected again and admired again, including by people of religion, faith, and goodwill. We will be prosperous. We will be proud. We will be strong, and we will win like never before. We will not be conquered. We will not be intimidated. We will not be broken, and we will not fail. From this day on, the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun. Thank you. God bless America. Thank you all.
He talks about it like we just gained global dominance of the economic order, or some massive shift has some huge push of a boulder off of a mountain that will lead to an avalanche of. I mean, not really tempering the expectations in any manner, is he? We're now an independent nation. We're now a sovereign nation. We're more sovereign than the vast majority of nation states. We're more sovereign because even if we make the rules, if we choose not to obey them, then sometimes we just won't. Like, for example, where we were there for the creation of the International Criminal Court and then just decided not to ratify it. The Senate just didn't ratify it. And that's why we passed the Hague Invasion Act. So I would say, due to our economic dominance, the dollar dominance, which gives us a lot more spending flexibility, our massive military might, I would say, generally speaking, we're probably more sovereign than most nations. So I don't know what he's going to do that's going to change this besides, I mean, the tariffs. So what does sovereignty mean for the American consumer? A 20 to 30% increase in product prices, food prices, a product price increase for people working with anything that requires foreign inputs. Is that what sovereignty means? Trump pardoned 1,500 Jan 6ers. Oh boy. 1,500. That's so many. That's so many. Oh God. Okay, we're gonna have to get into that in a bit. It's really bad. And the standard that's set is very bad. So what do I have to say about this? He talks about the last 4 years as if it was hell on earth, and he talks about the next 4 years as if it would be heaven itself. He talks about this as if it will be a golden age of American success, in the same way that I would imagine, any state propagandist for any regime would talk about the incoming glory of the administration. I'm not saying that to be like, oh my God, he's the evil. I'm just saying that the way he talks about this is like cartoonish. He's not focusing on necessarily the most achievable tabletop objectives and the things he wants to do to achieve the things that were the main orders of business that got him elected, say bringing down grocery prices, say inflation. He's actively threatening policies that could reverse those things that he wants to work on to make better, i.e. the tariffs, i.e. the lowering the valuation of the dollar to make American products more competitive on the global market, which is something that the Trump campaign proposed on the campaign trail, which again, you're going to have to reconcile many of these ideas that are pretty contradictory economically. But I mean, like, tariffs has been something he's really focused on, so I'm not going to be surprised if we see something like that. But But I mean, like, he is really setting in tone and voice, as always. He's setting the expectations high, and I'm sure he'll talk as if it has succeeded, no matter what the outcome is. But I wonder if that specter, if that showmanship is going to be able to hold, or how many people that would be able to hold, depending upon what I will believe to be his likely failure to live up to these expectations. And what expectations can he lead up to, not lead up to, can live up to, that he could use to, you know, hey, look, I've delivered. There's going to be some positives from investments that have been made from the Infrastructure Act that'll certainly be good. I'm sure if he does a big tax cut, that will have some impact on the economy, even if that is, you know, budgetary decision making that is not going to be very friendly to the deficit and the idea of fiscal responsibility that a Republican Party likes to talk about so much. But these are things to jumpstart the economy, try to like get it to kick into drive a little bit more. So there are some decisions he can make, and there are some things that are already set into motion that cannot be set out of motion unless he goes out of his way to do so. Either way, though, next 4 years feeling like a lot like the first 4 years of Trump, but there ain't no adults in the room this time, and the ones that are in the room are, let's say they're scared of the freak out in the toy aisle. January 6th is no longer a date. A year is 364 days now.